I am honored today to present to you our two finalists from the Persuasive Speaking Contest who are going to come up and share their speeches with you. Up first will be a young man by the name of Barrett Young. Barrett?
Well, howdy. How's everybody doing tonight? Okay, so let's get this started. So, in a village, there were two groups of people, the donkeys and the elephants. Now, as you can imagine, the donkeys and the elephants didn't agree on much. And whenever there was a fire in the village, they had a little bit of a disagreement. See, the elephants wanted to just ignore the fire, thinking it'd go out on its own. The donkeys, on the other hand, were freaking out. They were passing out in fear of this fire, and they all got together and started debating the issue of what they should do about the fire. Well, what happened was they got gridlocked. They couldn't make a decision. The fire spread and killed every single last one of them. Whenever we look at the issue of gun violence in the United States of America, we need to realize what gun violence really is. The Center for Disease Control says that gun violence is a disease and should be treated as such. If we do nothing to put out the fire of gun violence, we are morally incorrect in such action. Over the course of this speech, I will analyze the cause of gun crime in the status quo and how that affects society as a whole, and finish by offering a series of solutions both the elephants and the donkeys can agree upon. But first, looking at the causes, it is not because we have too much regulation or too little. It is because we're treating the problem wrong. We are trying to fool ourselves into thinking that we can fix every single issue. We try to tell ourselves every night that we can get rid of all gun crime, that nobody will have to die, but that's just not the case. Societal violence is a complex issue with multiple causes, and we can't solve for all of them. But crime, especially gun crime, can be reduced. Dan Noyes of the Bureau of Investigative Journalism found that criminals overwhelmingly obtained their firearms for their crimes illegally. This means that these criminals are already breaking the law. You don't need more regulation, but what you do need is a way to enforce it. And that political gridlock is getting in the way of that. See, what happens is the politicians, instead of debating on how we can get those criminals prosecuted, debate about new regulation. And that prevents them from getting anything done. And now both sides have valid points to their issues. For example, the Democrats rant and rave about all the innocent civilians killed by firearms. And the Pew Research Center backs this up. 11,078 people die each year in gun-related homicides. But the Republicans have a valid point too. They say if we seize firearms, we're going on a slippery slope to tyranny, and that we will give the government a monopoly of force, which will make us tyrannical. Now, Dr. R.J. Rummel, head of the University of Hawaii's Democide Research Center, has said that that has been present in every genocide committed in the 20th century. What Dr. Rummel was saying is that whenever the government takes away guns, it indicts that they are becoming tyrannical. So both sides do have valid points. We do need to save American lives, but we can't surrender our liberty in the process. So the effect this has on society as a whole is a lack of enforcement leading to increased gun crime. Now, there's a common misconception among Republicans and Democrats that if you are mentally ill and you are a threat to yourselves and others, that you can legally obtain a firearm. That is not the case. It is already law that if you are a threat to yourselves or others, you cannot legally obtain a firearm, but you can easily still do it. Sterling Burnett of the National Center for Policy Analysis explained that the reason for this is because state and national mental health databases aren't linked together, so there's no way of enforcing that law. It's not that it isn't illegal, it's that we haven't taken the time to sit down and solve the issue. We've passed laws with no means of enforcing them, and for that reason, we can find solutions within what we already have passed and agreed upon. I'd say the first and easiest thing to do is just to link the databases. It doesn't require an infringement on state rights, it just means you have to bridge the networks together. But the second thing is that Republicans and Democrats need to work together. We are completely divided in this country. We've lost the ability to disagree without being disagreeable, and that will be our undoing, especially in the issue of gun violence. We need to work together, reach across the aisle, and smoke the peace pipe as we review current regulation and find ways to enforce it. But the third and most important thing is something all of you can do, regardless of whether you're in Congress. Like I said, societal violence has a number of causes. But people don't shoot up schools because they feel loved. They shoot up schools because they feel alone. Michael Caine of Policy Mike said that what America needs to solve gun crime is moral education. We don't need new laws. We don't need more guns. What we need is to teach people to love and respect one another. If we treat even strangers with kindness, we could be the person that stops them from shooting up a school. We could be the person that prevents them from taking their own life. And when we look at that, we see we have a moral obligation to do so. So in conclusion, gun crime is a problem we'll never completely eliminate. There will always be issues, and we will always have to fight them. But if our politicians can agree to disagree, and at the very least work on what they've already agreed to in current regulations to enforce those, we can take a step forward. And if we as people can work together as a society to help curb gun violence through kindness and love, we do have a chance. You see, America is great because we trust the individual, because society is a collection of those individuals. You as the individual can be the beginning of that change. Kindness is contagious, so we need to become an infection. You are the solution, so let's get it done. Thank you.